You reach for something on the counter, and your hand catches the edge for just a second. You stand up from your chair, and the room tilts slightly before settling. You walk across a slightly uneven patch of ground, and your body takes a half beat longer than it used to correct itself. You notice it. You file it under tiredness, under getting older, under not eating enough today. And then it happens again. Most people dismiss these moments their entire lives. They are easy to explain away, easy to minimize, easy to forget by the time they have made a cup of tea and sat back down. But I need you to hear something clearly before this video goes any further. Your body does not send balance signals randomly. Unsteadiness, real unsteadiness, the kind that is new, that is recurring, that feels different from how you have always moved through the world, is a neurological communication. Your nervous system is a sophisticated signaling network that has been running without your conscious attention for your entire life. When it sends a signal loud enough for you to notice, it is worth paying attention to. In some cases, that signal is minor, correctable, a nutritional deficiency, a medication side effect, an inner ear crystal that has shifted out of place. In other cases, and this is what this video is about, it is one of the most urgent signals your body will ever send you. Stay with me, because understanding the difference could be the most important thing you do today. First, you need to understand what balance actually is, because most people have never thought about how many systems have to work perfectly together just for you to walk across a room. Balance is not a single sense. It is the real-time integration of 3 completely separate systems running simultaneously inside your body. The first is your vestibular system, the fluid-filled chambers of your inner ear that detect the position and movement of your head in space. The second is your proprioceptive system, the network of sensors embedded in your joints, muscles, and tendons that constantly report your body's position relative to the ground beneath you. The third is your visual system, your eyes providing a continuous reference frame that your brain uses to confirm what the other 2 systems are reporting. When all 3 systems are communicating cleanly and your brain is processing those signals efficiently, you move through the world without thinking about it. Balance is invisible, automatic. You do not notice it working any more than you notice your heart beating. But when any one of these 3 systems begins to malfunction, or when the brain regions responsible for processing their signals are compromised, the first thing you experience is a change in how you feel on your feet, a slight instability, a moment of dizziness, a brief sensation that the ground is not quite as solid as it always was. That sensation is your brain reporting that something in the system has changed. And here is the part that most people never hear, and that I want you to understand completely before we go any further. Not all unsteadiness is equal. Most of it, most of the time, has explanations that are serious but manageable, and we will cover all of them in this video. But there is one cause of sudden, unexplained unsteadiness that requires immediate attention. Not a doctor's appointment next week. Not a mention at your next checkup. Immediate attention. That cause is a transient ischemic attack, what doctors call a TIA, and what most people call a mini-stroke. A TIA occurs when blood flow to a part of your brain is temporarily interrupted. Not permanently, temporarily. The interruption can last seconds. It can last minutes, and then it resolves. The blood flow returns. The symptoms disappear. You feel normal again. And that resolution, that return to normal, is the most dangerous moment of the entire event because it feels like nothing happened. It feels like a close call that passed. It feels like something you should probably mention to a doctor at some point, when you get around to it. Research tells a different story entirely. Studies consistently show that between 10 and 15% of people who experience a TIA will have a full stroke within the following 3 months. And nearly half of those strokes, the ones that cause permanent damage, permanent disability, permanent loss of function, occur within the first 48 hours after the TIA. The window between the warning and the event is not weeks. It is often hours. Have you or someone you know ever experienced a sudden moment of dizziness or unsteadiness that passed quickly and seemed like nothing? Tell me in the comments. You may be reading this at exactly the right time. If this video is covering something that affects you or someone you love, subscribe so you see future videos on this topic. And if this is already important to you, tap the like button. It helps more people find this information when they need it. The specific symptoms of a TIA that are most commonly dismissed because they resolve so quickly include sudden unsteadiness or loss of balance, sudden dizziness, sudden blurred or double vision in one or both eyes, sudden numbness or weakness on one side of the face, arm, or leg, sudden difficulty speaking or understanding speech, and a sudden severe headache with no known cause. Any one of these symptoms, appearing suddenly and then resolving within minutes, is a medical emergency until proven otherwise. The acronym most emergency medicine physicians use is FAST. Face drooping on one side. Arm weakness. Can you raise both arms and keep them level? Speech difficulty. Is speech slurred or strange? Time. Call emergency services immediately. Every minute that passes after a stroke begins, approximately 1.9 million neurons are lost. Time is brain tissue. But here is what I want to address directly, because I know the audience watching this video, and I know the tendency. You will minimize it. You will think, it was just a moment. It passed. I feel fine now. I don't want to make a fuss. I'll see how I feel tomorrow. Please do not do this. A TIA that is evaluated and treated within 24 hours reduces the subsequent stroke risk by up to 80%. The treatment exists. The prevention works. But it requires you to show up for it. Now let me cover the other causes of unsteadiness. The ones that are serious and important, but not emergencies, requiring an immediate ambulance. Because not every episode of unsteadiness is a vascular event, and understanding the full picture helps you know which response a situation actually requires. The first non-vascular cause is vitamin B12 deficiency. B12 is essential for the maintenance of the myelin sheath, the protective coating around your nerve fibers. Without adequate B12, nerve signal transmission slows and eventually degrades. The neurological symptoms of B12 deficiency include tingling or numbness in the hands and feet, difficulty with balance and coordination, fatigue, and in advanced cases, cognitive changes. B12 deficiency is extremely common in adults over 50, particularly in those taking metformin for diabetes or proton pump inhibitors for acid reflux, both of which impair B12 absorption. A simple blood test identifies it. Treatment with supplementation or injection is straightforward and effective when caught early. The second cause is BPPV, benign paroxysmal positional vertigo. This is the most common cause of vertigo in adults and is produced by tiny calcium carbonate crystals in the inner ear becoming dislodged and moving into the wrong canal. The result is a sudden, intense spinning sensation triggered by specific head movements, typically rolling over in bed, looking up, or bending forward. BPPV is not dangerous. It is extremely treatable with a specific physical maneuver called the Epley maneuver that a physiotherapist or doctor can perform in a single session. But because the spinning sensation can be intense and frightening, it is worth distinguishing from more serious causes. The third cause is cervical spine compression. Your cervical spine, the vertebrae of your neck, contains the pathways through which nerve signals travel between your brain and the rest of your body. Age-related changes to the cervical spine, including disc degeneration and bone spur formation, can compress these pathways and produce balance disturbances, arm tingling, and in more advanced cases, difficulty with fine motor coordination, cervical myelopathy, compression of the spinal cord in the neck is underdiagnosed and often presents first as subtle balance changes that people attribute to aging. The fourth cause is blood pressure dysregulation, specifically orthostatic hypotension, which is the drop in blood pressure that occurs when you stand up too quickly. When this regulatory mechanism works properly, your cardiovascular system compensates immediately for the postural change, and your blood pressure stays stable. When it doesn't, due to dehydration, certain medications, autonomic nervous system dysfunction, or cardiovascular disease, blood pressure drops momentarily upon standing, and the brain receives briefly reduced blood flow. The result is the familiar lightheadedness and unsteadiness when rising from a chair or bed. In older adults, this is a significant fall risk and is worth discussing with a doctor if it is happening regularly. The fifth cause worth mentioning is medication side effects. Many commonly prescribed medications, including blood pressure medications, diuretics, sedatives, antihistamines, and certain antidepressants, list dizziness and balance disturbance as known side effects. If unsteadiness began or worsened after a medication change, this connection is worth raising with your prescribing doctor. Never stop or adjust medication without medical guidance, but do have the conversation. Now let me give you the specific framework for understanding which response your situation actually requires. Because the difference between call emergency services now and make a doctor's appointment this week matters enormously, and the distinguishing features are clear. Once you know what to look for, seek emergency medical attention immediately if the unsteadiness came on suddenly, within seconds or minutes rather than gradually over days or weeks. Sudden onset is the most important single feature that distinguishes vascular events from other causes. The unsteadiness is accompanied by any of the following: weakness or numbness on one side of the body, facial drooping, slurred speech, sudden vision changes in one or both eyes, a severe headache unlike any you have had before, or sudden confusion. The unsteadiness occurred and then resolved completely. This is not reassuring, it is urgent. A resolved episode of sudden neurological symptoms is a TIA, until proven otherwise by medical evaluation. You have known risk factors for stroke: high blood pressure, atrial fibrillation, diabetes, high cholesterol, smoking history, previous TIA or stroke, or age over 65 with multiple risk factors. Schedule an urgent doctor appointment within 48 to 72 hours if the unsteadiness is new but gradual in onset, developing over days or weeks rather than suddenly. It is associated with tingling or numbness in the hands or feet, fatigue, or cognitive changes, suggesting possible B12 deficiency or other nutritional issue. It is triggered specifically by position changes, particularly head movements or standing up, suggesting BPPV or orthostatic hypotension. It began or worsened after a medication change. Balance tests you can perform at home to monitor your situation. The single leg stand test. Stand on one foot without holding anything and time how long you can maintain balance. Healthy adults under 60 should manage 30 seconds or more. Adults over 60 should manage at least 10 seconds. Inability to maintain single leg balance for 10 seconds in adults over 60 has been associated in research with increased cerebrovascular risk. The tandem walk test. Walk heel to toe in a straight line for 10 steps. Difficulty maintaining a straight line without arms. For balance can indicate vestibular or cerebellar involvement worth investigating. These tests are not diagnostic. They are observational. They give you information to bring to a medical professional, not conclusions to act on independently. The long-term protective habits that matter. Blood pressure management is the single most modifiable risk factor for stroke. Know your numbers. If your systolic pressure is consistently above 130, work with your doctor on management. Every 10-point reduction in systolic blood pressure reduces stroke risk by approximately 20%. Regular, moderate movement. The kind that keeps your cardiovascular system healthy, your balance systems active, and your proprioceptive pathways regularly stimulated, is one of the most evidence-based protective behaviors available. Walking daily, particularly on varied terrain that challenges balance, maintains the neural pathways that keep you stable on your feet. Adequate hydration reduces blood viscosity and supports blood pressure regulation. Dehydration is an underappreciated contributor to orthostatic hypotension in older adults. B12 status should be checked regularly in adults over 50, particularly those on medications known to impair absorption. Ask for it to be included in routine blood work. Sleep quality matters for vascular health in ways that are increasingly well understood. Poor sleep is associated with elevated blood pressure, increased inflammatory markers, and higher stroke risk. Protecting sleep is protecting your brain. Here is what I want you to hold from everything in this video. Your body does not send balance signals to inconvenience you. It sends them because something has changed. Most of the time, that change is addressable, manageable, and not an emergency. But some of the time, a small but real percentage of the time, that signal is the most important communication your body will ever send you. The people who take it seriously are the ones who arrive at the hospital in time. The people who minimize it, who wait and see, who do not want to make a fuss. Some of them do not get a second warning. You are watching this video. That means you are paying attention. Stay paying attention. What surprised you most in this video? Have you, or someone you know, experienced sudden unsteadiness that passed and was dismissed? Tell me in the comments. If you enjoy understanding the quiet science happening inside your body, the signals it sends, and what they mean, subscribe for more. New videos every week.